In late 2021, a strange little game appeared on a quiet corner of the internet. It didn't arrive with flashing ads or loud announcements. There was no trailer, no social media hype, and no famous developer claiming credit. It simply showed up one night on a small online forum used by urban explorers and late-night gamers. The post introducing it was short and oddly calm. It read, "Looking for night couriers. Missions begin soon." Beneath the message was a link in a single sentence, "Only play if you enjoy the dark." The game was called Night Courier. At first, most people ignored it. The internet was full of mysterious projects and strange apps that disappeared as quickly as they appeared. But a few curious users clicked the link anyway. The website that opened was almost empty. A black background, a simple login box, and a faint image of a city skyline glowing under a moon. At the bottom of the page, small white text read, "Deliver the night." There was no sign-up process beyond choosing a username and password. No email confirmation. No personal details required. It took less than a minute to create an account, and once players logged in, they found a dashboard with a single button labeled Request Mission. When players clicked the button, a task appeared. The first missions were simple, almost silly. One player was asked to walk outside and take a photo of the nearest streetlight after midnight. Another was told to record a 10-second video of an empty parking lot. Someone else had to draw a small triangle with chalk on a sidewalk and upload proof. After submitting the task, the site rewarded them with points and unlocked a new mission. It felt harmless, even fun. Within days, screenshots of the game spread across forums and group chats. People loved the mystery of it. They joked that it felt like being inside a secret movie. A few users wondered if it was part of a hidden marketing campaign for a new horror film or a secret reality show. Nobody had answers, and that only made the game more interesting. By the end of the first week, hundreds of players had joined. One of them was Liam Carter. Liam was 19 years old and in his second year of college. He lived with his parents in a quiet neighborhood where nothing ever seemed to happen. His life followed a simple routine. He attended online classes during the day, played games in the evening, and stayed up late scrolling through forums or watching videos. He had always been shy and kept mostly to himself. His parents often joked that he lived in two worlds, the real one during the day and the digital one at night. When Liam discovered Night Courier, it felt like something new and exciting had finally entered his life. The first mission he received asked him to take a photo of a bus stop at exactly 1:15 a.m. He laughed when he saw it. It sounded ridiculous, but also strangely thrilling. He grabbed his jacket, slipped his phone into his pocket, and quietly left the house while his parents slept. The streets were silent. The air felt colder than usual, and the empty roads gave the night a strange energy. Liam walked faster than normal, glancing over his shoulder more than once even though nobody was around. When he reached the bus stop, he took the photo and hurried home. When he uploaded the picture, the site rewarded him with 50 points and a message that read, "Delivery confirmed." The words made him smile. Over the next week, Liam completed more missions. Photograph an empty playground. Record the sound of a train passing in the distance. Leave a small piece of paper with a drawn symbol under a park bench. Each task was simple, but the thrill grew stronger every time he stepped outside after midnight. The quiet streets, the feeling of secrecy, the sense that he was part of something hidden. It all made the missions feel bigger than they really were. The game included a leaderboard, and Liam quickly became obsessed with it. He watched his username slowly climb higher each night. The more missions he completed, the more points he earned, and the more determined he became to keep playing. It gave him a goal, a reason to leave his room, and a strange sense of accomplishment. Thousands of players joined the game over the next month. Online discussions exploded with excitement. Some players shared stories about running into each other in the middle of the night, without realizing they were playing the same game. Others posted theories about who created Night Courier and what its real purpose might be. Despite all the speculation, nobody could find any real information about the developers. The website had no contact page, no company name, and no social media presence. It existed quietly, like a shadow. Most players didn't care. The mystery was part of the fun. Liam's parents noticed he had started going out at night more often. He told them he was just taking walks to clear his head. They were happy to see him leaving the house and didn't ask many questions. To them, it seemed like a healthy change. But the mission slowly began to change. One evening, Liam received a task asking him to leave a sealed envelope under a random park bench. The game provided the location and time but didn't tell him what to put inside. The instructions simply said, "Leave any note. Do not sign your name." It felt strange, but he convinced himself it was harmless. He wrote a random sentence on a piece of paper, sealed it in an envelope, and left it exactly where the mission instructed. 2 days later, another task appeared. This time, he had to knock on a stranger's door at exactly 2:17 a.m. and run away before the door opened. The mission gave him an address across town. Liam hesitated longer than usual before accepting. The idea made him nervous. It felt like crossing an invisible line. But the reward was huge, more points than he had ever seen for a single mission. His curiosity won. He completed the task and ran down the street, laughing nervously as the adrenaline rushed through him. When he uploaded proof, the site rewarded him instantly. "Excellent work," the message said. The tone felt different, more personal. As weeks passed, the missions grew more unusual, but the community only became more excited. Players joked about how the game was turning them into secret agents. The forums filled with stories of late-night adventures and near misses with strangers. Liam became one of the most dedicated players. He completed missions almost every night. He stopped thinking of the tasks as strange. They became part of his routine, like brushing his teeth or checking his phone before bed. Then, one evening, everything changed. A new notification appeared on his screen. It wasn't a normal mission request. It was a private message. The sender was labeled simply as Administrator. Liam opened it slowly, his heart beating faster than usual. The message was short. "You've been selected for level black." For a moment, Liam just stared at the screen. There had never been any mention of levels in the game before. Another message appeared seconds later. "Do you accept?" Liam felt a mix of excitement and fear rising in his chest. Whatever level black was, it felt important, exclusive, like he had been chosen from thousands of players. Without fully understanding why, he clicked accept. He didn't know it yet, but that single click would change everything. The moment Liam clicked accept, the screen went dark for a few seconds. At first, he thought his internet had dropped. He refreshed the page, but instead of the familiar dashboard, a new screen slowly appeared. The city skyline image was gone. The cheerful leaderboard was gone. The bright white text had been replaced by thin gray letters on a black background. It looked colder, quieter, and strangely serious. At the center of the screen were 2 words, level black. Below it was a long agreement filled with legal language. Liam didn't read most of it. His eyes jumped from sentence to sentence, catching phrases that made his stomach tighten. Confidential missions, non-disclosure, real-world tasks, participation at your own risk. By continuing, you agree not to share any information about level black missions with anyone, online or offline. At the bottom of the page was a single button labeled I understand. Liam hesitated for only a moment before clicking it. A new message appeared almost instantly. "Welcome to level black. Your first mission will begin shortly." He leaned back in his chair and stared at the screen, feeling the kind of excitement that makes it impossible to sit still. Being chosen felt like winning a secret competition he didn't even know he was in. Thousands of players were still completing regular missions, but he had been invited into something hidden. For the rest of the evening, he kept refreshing the page, waiting. The first mission arrived at 9:42 p.m. Mission 1. Pick up a package from locker number 302 at Central Station. Retrieve the package at exactly 11:15 p.m. Do not open it. Do not inspect it. Deliver the package to the red mailbox behind the old cinema by midnight. That was all. No explanation. No points listed. No reward mentioned. Liam read the instructions 3 times. This felt very different from photographing bus stops or drawing chalk symbols. This felt real. He imagined hidden cameras, secret organizers, and a team of people somewhere watching him complete the task. He told himself it was probably part of a large alternate reality game. He had read about games like that before. Massive online experiences where players unknowingly participated in real-world puzzles. It made perfect sense. Still, as the clock moved closer to 11 p.m., A nervous energy built inside him. He left the house quietly and walked to the train station. The city felt different at night now. Not exciting like before. He felt more aware of every shadow and every passing car. He kept reminding himself that this was just a game. Central Station was almost empty when he arrived. A few tired commuters waited on benches, staring at their phones. The lockers stood in a long metal row against the wall. Liam found locker number 302 and checked the time. 11:14 p.m. He waited. At exactly 11:15, he opened the locker. Inside sat a small brown package wrapped in plain paper and sealed with tape. No address. No writing. No markings of any kind. Liam's heart began to beat faster. He reached inside, picked up the package, and shut the locker door. It felt heavier than he expected. For a brief moment, curiosity tempted him. He wondered what would happen if he opened it. Would the game know? Was someone watching? He forced the thought away and left the station quickly. The old cinema was on the other side of town. Its bright lights had shut off years ago, leaving only a faded sign hanging above the entrance. Behind the building stood a single red mailbox, its paint chipped and dull from years of neglect. Liam placed the package inside and stepped back. His phone buzzed instantly. Delivery confirmed. He didn't remember uploading proof. He hadn't taken a photo. He hadn't recorded anything. The realization sent a chill down his spine. How did they know? Before he could think about it too much, another message appeared. Excellent work. Await further instructions. That night, Liam slept badly. His mind replayed the moment his phone buzzed. He kept imagining hidden cameras watching him. He told himself the organizers must have installed cameras near the mailbox. It was the only explanation that made sense. The next mission arrived 2 days later. Mission 2. Wait outside Greenview Apartments at 11:40 p.m. A man will drop a black bag near the trash bins. Retrieve the bag and place it under the East Bridge within 30 minutes. Liam read the message several times, hoping more details would appear. None did. This time, the nerves were stronger. He couldn't pretend this was harmless fun anymore. Waiting for strangers to drop off bags in the middle of the night felt like something from a crime movie. He considered quitting. He even closed the laptop and tried to forget about the mission. But the curiosity wouldn't go away. What if this was the final test? What if quitting now meant he would never know the truth about Level Black? By 11 p.m., he had made his decision. Greenview Apartments stood at the edge of the city, a tall concrete building surrounded by dim streetlights. Liam stood across the street, pretending to scroll through his phone while watching the trash bins near the entrance. The minutes moved painfully slowly. At 11:39 p.m., a man exited the building carrying a black gym bag. He walked casually toward the trash bins, set the bag down, and left without looking back. Liam felt a wave of disbelief. This wasn't staged. The man looked completely normal, like someone finishing a late-night workout or taking out trash. When the man disappeared around the corner, Liam crossed the street and grabbed the bag. It was heavier than the package from the station. He didn't open it. He didn't want to know what was inside. The bridge stood over a quiet river on the edge of the city. Liam slid the bag beneath the metal railing and stepped back, his hands shaking slightly. His phone buzzed again. Mission complete. The message appeared seconds after he stepped away from the bridge. He hadn't uploaded proof. He hadn't told the game anything. And yet, it knew. That night, fear began to replace excitement. Over the next few weeks, the missions continued. Each one pulled Liam deeper into the mystery. Pick up envelopes. Deliver small boxes. Leave bags in specific locations. The tasks never explained their purpose, and Liam stopped trying to guess. He told himself it was better not to know. The point system never appeared again, but he didn't need it anymore. The thrill of being part of something secret was stronger than any leaderboard. Still, the unease kept growing. One night, after completing a delivery, Liam checked the forum to see if other Level Black players were sharing stories. The regular night courier discussions were still active, filled with jokes and screenshots from simple missions. But there was no mention of Level Black anyway. It was like it didn't exist. He began to wonder if he was the only one. Then, late one evening, a new mission arrived. It was only one sentence long. Follow the woman in the blue coat. Take photos. Do not let her see you. Liam stayed at the screen, frozen. This was different. This wasn't delivering objects. This wasn't leaving packages. This was following a person. His heart began to race as he read the message again and again, hoping he had misunderstood. But the instructions were clear. Follow her. Take photos. Do not be seen. For the first time since joining Level Black, Liam felt a strong urge to stop playing. But the message remained on the screen, waiting, and curiosity was stronger than fear. Liam stayed at the mission for nearly an hour before moving. The words on the screen didn't change, didn't fade, didn't offer any additional instructions. They just stayed there, quiet and patient, as if the game knew he would eventually give in. Follow the woman in the blue coat. Take photos. Do not let her see you. He told himself this would be the last mission. Just one more. He needed to understand where Level Black was going and why it had chosen him. That curiosity had become a powerful force in his life, something he couldn't easily ignore. The mission included a time and a location. The woman would leave a bookstore downtown at 7:45 p.m. Liam arrived early and stood across the street, pretending to scroll through his phone while glancing at the bookstore window. The sky had already turned dark, and the streetlights reflected off the glass like glowing stars. At exactly 7:46, the door opened and a woman stepped outside wearing a long blue coat. For a moment, Liam froze. She looked completely ordinary. She checked her phone, adjusted her scarf, and started walking down the sidewalk like any other person finishing their evening errands. The normality made the situation feel worse. Liam followed from a distance, trying to stay casual. He pretended to stop at shop windows, slowed down when she slowed down, and kept at least half a block between them whenever possible. His heart pounded so loudly he was sure people passing him could hear it. He took the first photo near a traffic light. His hand shook slightly as he lifted his phone. The camera shutter sounded louder than usual, even though he knew it wasn't. The woman never looked back. She walked through a grocery store parking lot, then down a quiet residential street. Liam kept following, telling himself he wasn't doing anything illegal. He wasn't touching her. He wasn't speaking to her. He was just taking pictures. It was a game. He repeated that thought over and over. After nearly 2 hours, the woman entered Greenview Apartments, the same building from the earlier mission. Liam stopped walking immediately. A cold wave of recognition moved through him. He watched the building entrance from across the street, unsure what to do next. The mission didn't say how long to follow her. It didn't say when to stop. His phone buzzed. Mission complete. Relief rushed through him so quickly that his knees felt weak. He turned and walked home without looking back. That night, he uploaded the photos and tried to forget about the mission. He told himself the game probably wanted realistic urban footage. Maybe it was for a documentary or a secret film project. That explanation sounded thin, but it was enough to quiet his mind for a while. 2 weeks passed without any new missions. At first, Liam felt relieved. He slept better. He stayed home at night and tried to return to his normal routine. But the silence began to feel strange. He had grown used to the constant notifications and secret instructions. Without them, the nights felt empty. Then, on a quiet Monday morning, everything changed. The news appeared on his phone while he was eating breakfast. Local woman missing after last seen near Greenview Apartments. The article included a photo. It was the woman in the blue coat. Her name was Maya Henderson. She was 28 years old and worked as a graphic designer. According to the article, she had left a bookstore 2 weeks earlier and never returned home. Her family had reported her missing after she stopped answering calls and messages. Liam's hand started to shake. He read the article again, hoping he had misunderstood, but the details were clear. The date matched the night of the mission. The location matched perfectly. His chest felt tight, like the air had suddenly become heavier. He closed the article and tried to breathe slowly. People disappeared all the time, he told himself. It was probably a coincidence. A terrible coincidence, but still a coincidence. He didn't open the Night Courier website for the rest of the day. But that night, curiosity dragged him back. The site looked the same as always. Dark background. Simple text. No new missions. No new messages. Just silence. Liam stared at the screen for a long time before closing his laptop again. Over the next few days, the news about Maya spread across the city. Posters appeared on street corners. Her family gave emotional interviews on local television. Social media filled with messages asking for information. The more Liam saw her face, the worse he felt. Then the police released a new update. Security cameras from a nearby street had captured footage of Maya walking home the night she disappeared. The video showed her passing under a streetlight, her blue coat bright against the dark road. And behind her, in the background, was a figure, a young man holding a phone. The footage was blurry, but the internet reacted instantly. People shared screenshots and zoomed-in images across social media. Comments filled the posts with speculation and accusations. Liam stared at the image until his eyes hurt. The figure looked exactly like him. The same height, the same jacket, the same posture. His stomach twisted with fear. He tried to convince himself the image was too blurry to be Satan. It could be anyone. The city was full of people who looked similar. But deep down, he knew the truth. He remembered the exact moment he took that photo. Panic began to creep into every part of his life. Every siren outside made his heart race. Every knock on the door made him freeze. He stopped going out unless absolutely necessary. He stopped answering unknown phone numbers. At night, sleep became impossible. A week after the CCTV footage was released, his phone buzzed. The notification came from Night Courier. "You're doing excellent work. Final mission approaching." Liam felt a wave of dread wash over him. The words didn't feel exciting anymore. They felt threatening. He opened the website, hoping to find answers. But something was wrong. The forum looked empty. Threads that once filled pages were gone. Player accounts had disappeared. The leaderboard no longer existed. It was as if the entire community had vanished overnight. He refreshed the page again and again, hoping it was a glitch. Nothing changed. It felt like the game was erasing itself. Liam scrolled through the remaining posts. Only a handful remained, and most were months old. The lively discussions and shared screenshots had vanished without explanation. The silence felt terrifying. He opened his email and searched for old Night Courier notifications. Many of them were gone. Entire message threads had disappeared as if they had never existed. A cold realization formed in his mind. The game wasn't just deleting posts. It was disappearing. That night, Liam sat in the dark, staring at his laptop screen. His thoughts raced in circles. Was the game connected to Maya's disappearance? Had the missions meant something more than he realized? Was he in danger? Or worse, was he already involved? The questions wouldn't stop. Just after midnight, a new notification appeared. A final mission. The message was short, simple, and terrifying. Retrieve the key from apartment 410. The door will be unlocked. Below the text was a location. Greenview Apartments. Liam's breath caught in his throat as he read the message again. The same building. The same place where Maya was last seen. The same place where he had completed multiple missions. The coincidence was impossible to ignore now. For the first time since discovering Night Courier, Liam felt real fear. Not the exciting kind that came from late-night adventures. This was heavy and cold and impossible to shake. He closed the laptop and pushed it away, as if distance could protect him. But the message stayed in his mind. Retrieve the key from apartment 410. The door will be unlocked. He knew he should go to the police. He knew he should tell someone everything. But how could he explain it? He had no proof. The game was disappearing. The missions were vanishing. It would sound like a wild story from someone trying to hide guilt. He imagined sitting in an interrogation room, trying to explain level black to skeptical detectives. The thought terrified him. He sat in silence for hours, listening to the quiet hum of his room. Every sound outside felt louder than usual. Every passing car made him glance toward the window. By morning, he still hadn't decided what to do. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't ready to walk away from the mystery. And that decision would change everything. Liam didn't sleep the night he received the final mission. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling while the words repeated in his mind like a broken recording. Retrieve the key from apartment 410. The door will be unlocked. The simplicity of the message made it feel even more dangerous. There were no extra details, no time limit, no explanation. Just an instruction waiting to be followed. By morning, his eyes burned from exhaustion, but his thoughts were sharp and restless. Every logical part of his brain told him to stop, to delete the game, forget everything, and pretend none of it had ever happened. But another part of him refused to let go. The same curiosity that had pushed him to accept level black now refused to let him walk away before understanding the truth. Throughout the day, the city felt different. Every street he walked down seemed connected to the missions. Every stranger looked suspicious. The familiar world he had known suddenly felt like a stage hiding something underneath. He avoided the news, but he couldn't avoid his own thoughts. Maya Henderson's face kept appearing in his mind. The blue coat, the CCTV image, the knowledge that he had unknowingly followed her on the night she vanished. That memory made the final mission feel heavier, like a warning he should not ignore. By evening, he had made a decision. He would go to Greenview Apartments one last time. He told himself it was to end the game, to prove to himself that there was a real explanation behind everything, to close the chapter and walk away. But deep down, he knew he was lying to himself. Night fell slowly, covering the city in darkness as if the world itself was encouraging him to continue. Liam waited until midnight before leaving the house. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. He didn't bring anything except his phone and his wallet. The streets were quieter than he had ever seen them. Even the air felt still. As he walked toward Greenview Apartments, the building appeared in the distance like a dark silhouette against the sky. He stopped across the street and stared at it. Every mission that had frightened him seemed connected to this place. The bag pickup, the surveillance mission, the disappearance. Now the final task was bringing him back again. His heart beat faster with every step as he crossed the street and entered the building. The lobby lights flickered faintly, casting soft shadows along the walls. The receptionist desk was empty. The silence inside felt unnatural, as if the building itself was holding its breath. Liam walked toward the elevator, pressing the button with trembling fingers. The seconds waiting for the doors to open felt longer than minutes. When the elevator arrived, he stepped inside and pressed the button for the 4th floor. The doors closed slowly, sealing him inside a small metal box with his thoughts. The quiet hum of the elevator moving upward felt louder than any noise he had ever heard. He watched the floor numbers light up one by one, each number bringing him closer to apartment 410. When the elevator stopped, the doors opened to a dim hallway. The lights flickered softly overhead, casting long shadows across the floor. The hallway stretched out in both directions, empty and silent. Apartment 410 was at the far end. Each step toward the door felt heavier than the last. Liam could hear his heartbeat echoing in his ears. The closer he got, the more the fear grew, like an invisible weight pressing against his chest. When he reached the door, he froze. It was slightly open. The message had been right. The door will be unlocked. He stood there for nearly a full minute, staring at the narrow gap between the door and the frame. Every instinct told him to turn around and leave. But curiosity, stronger than fear, pushed him forward. He slowly pushed the door open. The apartment was dark and silent. The air smelled stale, like a place that hadn't been lived in for months. Dust coated the floor and furniture, softening every surface like a thin layer of snow. Liam stepped inside, his footsteps echoing softly in the empty space. The living room was almost bare. A worn couch sat against one wall. A small table stood near the kitchen entrance. There were no personal items, no photos, no signs of life. It didn't feel like an apartment. It felt like a stage. He walked slowly toward the kitchen, his eyes scanning every corner. The quiet was overwhelming. Even his breathing sounded too loud. Then he saw it. A single key resting on the kitchen table. It sat in the center of the table as if it had been placed there carefully, waiting for him. Liam approached slowly, his eyes fixed on the key. He half expected something to happen when he got closer. An alarm, a voice, a sudden movement. Nothing happened. The silence remained. He reached out and picked up the key. It was cold. The moment his fingers closed around it, a faint sound came from behind him. A soft electronic hum. Liam turned slowly. On the far side of the kitchen sat a laptop. The screen was glowing. He hadn't noticed it before. The laptop faced directly toward the kitchen, angled perfectly as if someone expected him to stand exactly where he was now. His heart began to race as he stepped closer. The screen showed security camera footage. Live footage. Footage of the apartment. Footage of the kitchen. Footage of Liam standing there holding the key. For a moment, His brain refused to understand what he was seeing. The realization came slowly, like cold water spreading through his chest. Someone was watching him right now. He wasn't playing a game. He was inside it. Panic exploded inside him. His breathing became shallow and fast. He looked around the apartment wildly, expecting someone to step out from the shadows at any moment. The silence felt louder than ever. Then came the sound that shattered everything. Footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Heavy. Getting closer. Liam's entire body froze. The footsteps stopped outside the apartment door. A shadow moved across the gap beneath the door. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate. Instinct took over. He grabbed the key tightly and ran. He rushed past the living room and into the hallway, not daring to look behind him. The elevator felt too slow, too dangerous. He ran toward the stairwell and pushed the door open with shaking hands. The stairwell echoed with the sound of his footsteps as he rushed down the stairs. Every second felt like someone might grab him from behind. Every shadow felt alive. He didn't stop running until he reached the street. Cold night air filled his lungs as he stumbled away from the building, his legs trembling from adrenaline. He didn't stop until he reached home. He locked the door, turned off the lights, and sat on the floor with his back against the wall, trying to slow his breathing. His hands still shook as he pulled out his phone and opened the Night Courier website. The page failed to load. He refreshed. Error. He refreshed again. Page not found. He searched for the website manually. Nothing. The game was gone. Completely gone. Like it had never existed. The knock on the door came early in the morning, long before Liam had managed to sleep. He had spent the night sitting on his bedroom floor with the lights off, staring at his phone and refreshing the Night Courier website until his eyes burned. Every search result led nowhere. Every link that once worked now returned errors. It was as if the entire game had been erased from the internet overnight. When the knock came again, louder this time, his stomach dropped. He already knew who it was before he opened the door. 2 police officers stood on the porch. Their expressions were calm but serious, the kind of faces that left no room for misunderstanding. Liam felt his chest tighten as one of them asked his name, and then asked if they could come inside to talk. The conversation that followed felt unreal, like watching a movie where he had no control over the script. The officers asked simple questions at first. Where had he been 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday night? Did he know Maya Henderson? Had he ever visited Greenview Apartments? Each question made his throat feel tighter. He tried to answer calmly, but his voice trembled no matter how hard he tried to steady it. When they mentioned the CCTV footage, the room felt suddenly smaller. They showed him the image on a tablet, the same blurry figure standing behind Maya under the streetlight. Seeing it again, this time in the hands of the police, made it feel real in a way it never had before. Liam tried to explain. He told them about the game, about the missions, about Level Black. He spoke quickly, the words tumbling over each other as he described the packages, the deliveries, the final mission in the empty apartment. The officers listened without interrupting, but their expressions didn't change. When he finished, the silence felt heavy. One of the officers finally spoke. He asked if Liam had any proof of the game's existence. Liam opened his laptop with shaking hands and searched for the website. He showed them his empty browser history where links had once existed. He opened his email and searched for messages that were no longer there. He tried to log in again, knowing it wouldn't work. Nothing appeared. The officers exchanged a quiet glance. Within hours, Liam was sitting in an interrogation room. The bright lights overhead felt harsh and unforgiving. The room was cold and silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioner. Liam's hands rested on the metal table in front of him, fingers twisting together nervously. The detectives asked the same questions again and again. Why was he following Maya? Why had he been near Greenview Apartments multiple times? Why had he entered apartment 410 just days earlier? Each question chipped away at his composure. He repeated the same answer every time. It was the game. The words sounded weaker each time he said them. Days passed in a blur of interviews and long nights in a holding cell. News reports began to mention his name. Social media filled with speculation and accusations. To the public, the story looked simple. A young man obsessed with online games had stalked a woman and become involved in her disappearance. Without proof of Night Courier, Liam's story sounded like an excuse. He stopped trying to convince the detectives. Instead, He focused on remembering every detail of the missions, every location, every timestamp, every message he could recall. He wrote everything down, hoping the information might somehow help. Weeks passed before anything changed. The breakthrough came from the cybercrime unit. One of the detectives had refused to let the game explanation go. Something about Liam's story felt too detailed to be completely invented. They requested a full forensic analysis of his laptop and phone, searching for anything that might support his claims. At first, the analysis revealed nothing unusual. His browsing history was clean. No suspicious downloads. No hidden files. It looked exactly like the computer of a typical college student. But one technician decided to dig deeper. Hidden deep within the system logs, they found traces of something unusual. A remote access program that Liam had never installed. The software had connected to his computer dozens of times over the past several months, often late at night while he was asleep or away from his desk. Someone had been watching his screen. The discovery changed everything. The cybercrime team traced the remote connections through layers of servers and hidden networks. The trail was complex, bouncing between countries and masked IP addresses. But eventually, the path narrowed to a single physical location. A warehouse on the edge of the city. The building looked abandoned from the outside. The windows were dusty, and the parking lot was empty. But when police entered with a warrant, they discovered a hidden world inside. Rows of computers lined the walls. Monitors displayed maps, security camera feeds, and streams of data. Multiple servers hummed loudly in the corner of the room, their blinking lights reflecting off the dark walls. In the center of the warehouse sat a single desk. And a single man. His name was Ethan Rowe. He didn't try to run when the police entered. He didn't shout or deny anything. He simply looked up from his computer and stared at the officers as if he had been expecting them. The investigation that followed revealed a truth stranger than anyone had imagined. Night Courier had never been a game. It was a system. Ethan was a freelance software developer who had once specialized in building online platforms and automation tools. After losing several major clients, he began using his skills for something darker. He created Night Courier as a way to recruit anonymous couriers without them realizing what they were doing. The early missions were harmless by design. Taking photos, drawing symbols, recording sounds. They built trust and excitement while attracting thousands of players. Once players became dedicated and curious enough, they were quietly moved into level black. There, the real work began. Packages moved across the city without questions. Bags were delivered without inspection. Envelopes appeared in locations where they could be picked up by other couriers. Each player believed they were part of a game, never realizing they were pieces of a real-world network. And Maya Henderson had discovered the truth. She had noticed unusual activity around her apartment building and traced it back to hidden security camera access. While investigating, she unknowingly crossed paths with Ethan. When she confronted him, he made a decision that changed everything. The confession took hours. Ethan spoke calmly, almost proudly, as he explained how the system worked. He described the recruitment process, the hidden surveillance, the way he monitored players through remote access tools. He knew where they lived, when they were online, and how far he could push them. When asked about Liam, Ethan admitted he had been one of the most reliable players. He never opened the packages, Ethan said. He followed instructions perfectly. Those words haunted Liam long after he was released. Months later, the charges against him were dropped. The police publicly cleared his name, confirming he had unknowingly participated in the network without understanding its true purpose. But freedom didn't feel the way he expected. The world looked different now. The internet felt darker. The late-night streets that once felt exciting now felt threatening. Even simple notifications on his phone made his heart race. He stopped playing online games entirely. His laptop stayed closed most days. He rarely left the house except for classes and essential errands. Sometimes, he would wake up in the middle of the night convinced he had heard a notification sound. He would check his phone and find nothing there, but the fear would remain. The memory of the laptop in apartment 410 never left him. The glowing screen showing his own image. The realization that someone had been watching him for months without his knowledge. The investigators shut down Ethan's operation, but they never found all the answers. The servers revealed records of thousands of missions completed by hundreds of players around the world. Many of the participants were never identified. No one knows how many packages were delivered. No one knows how many missions were completed. And no one knows if Ethan was truly working alone. Liam still checks his email every night before going to bed. He tells himself it's just a habit, nothing more. But deep down, he fears seeing one message appear in his inbox. A simple message with familiar words.